Hey guys, I'm Danny. Welcome back to You Are Here, where we talk about growing up, where we find where we are in the map of life, and we just kind of grow up together and learn some things. I help you with some things that I've learned, and hopefully, you help me too along the way, and you just find a place of commonality. Is that a word? I hope so. But yeah, we just find commonplace with one another as we're growing up and evolving and becoming grown-ups, unfortunately. Yay. Okay. So, I did kind of want to start this one off by talking about like what this podcast actually is for. So it was perfect that we're doing this. This is the second episode of season 2. So I did just want to circle back a little bit. In episode 1, I talk a lot in length about why I started this podcast. So if you want to like go back and listen, feel free. But I started this podcast to grow up. I noticed that a lot of me and my friends were having the same kind of conversations, and my friends are like around my age and a little bit older. And I just realized I felt like there was really no space that I could think off the top of my head that we couldn't just talk about growing up and like hard things, like losing friends, moving away, growing up, things like that. So that's why I started You Are Here. And there's a whole analogy on why I called it You Are Here as well. So, and that's all in the first episode if you want to go back and listen to that one. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. However you're listening, whether you're audio only or you joined us on YouTube, we have a super cute YouTube channel. And if you're curious, you should totally swing on over to YouTube as well, subscribe, do the post notifications, the whole thing, because we're going to be doing some great things on YouTube. Okay, so on today's pod, we're going to talk about delayed gratification, which I have like recently been thinking about a lot. This is something that I am most challenged or very like tangibly challenged right now in terms of my closet. I love clothes, and I've talked about fashion and like how much I love dressing up and shopping and all those things. But I really have challenged myself at the beginning of this year to not buy and not add anything new to my closet for 75 days. And this came from a TikTok challenge. This creator called Mandy. She's so cool and has awesome fashion takes, but it's like 75 hard, but for your closet and for your style. And it's to just kind of grow in your personal style and in like what you like and learning about yourself really. And I loved this so much. So I'm doing that. And in this challenge and in all of this, I've only been doing it for like since the beginning of the year, but I've already learned so much about what I gravitate towards and stuff. But I think the largest human lesson through this for me has definitely been delayed gratification. And, I think it's a relationship that a lot of times young people and like young adults, and I mean even adults really don't have like that big of a grasp on. I think for a myriad of reasons, but mostly because everything now is so accessible. Like we can access any information. We can access like our groceries. We don't have to like really labor hard for anything now, which I'm not complaining about. Like I'm so glad I was born today, not in the Victorian era. Like I can't be doing that. But I do think it has created a very like tumultuous relationship with ourselves. I think when we live lives that are so driven toward getting what we want instantaneously, it actually leaves us with a life without meaning. And I think that's something that I've really been challenged by in the past 10 days of the new year. It's not even a month into the new year, but I'm already thinking so deeply about that. And at the end of this year, I really hope to be a more deliberate like shopper, obviously. I woke up today also not feeling very well. I don't know what's happening. I think there's something in the air. So sorry if I'm coughing and like sniffling and things. Um, but yeah, so I hope at the end of this year I'm more deliberate and more intentional about the things that I'm purchasing and the things that will remain in my closet. But also, I hope I'm that way in many other ways as well. And that the things I do, the things I say, have intention, are informed by time and patience, and um, and those things are not instantaneous. Those things take a long time um, to find like gratification within, which is such a complicated thing to like go through, to endure. Um, but anyways, I just kind of want to talk about that and like what started this thinking. So it did start because of fashion, which I love. But I think it's obviously grown to be so much more the more that I think about it. I even was thinking about delayed gratification as like a spiritual practice. And I love the idea that even like within God and like the world that is like within having a relationship with God, like everything that he gives us is um it's like all available. However, it's not always um revealed. And I think that is so brilliant. Like I think about that so often, about how God has every right um to give us everything, to shield us from everything and whatever. But he reveals enough to us, and then we have to put in work as well to know him, to be close to him. And I think that's so incredible, because then that means that as human beings, whatever that time, whatever that mystery, whatever the things that we don't know, um whatever that is, in us learning that, it makes us more into who he wants us to be, more into his image. And there's something like that's another mystery. Like there's another mystery there in like something is produced in human beings as we wait with purpose, as we wait with intention, as we wait with meaning, that develops within us something um, that is like our Father, like our Creator. So I don't know. I think, this started off as like silly, goofy. Let me try to like not waste my time and money on clothes that I think are lame. But now it's like, dang, like let me actually take a step back and think about all the things, even like within God, that I'm hoping for and that I'm praying for, that I'm believing for, that I can allow this time to produce something fruitful within me, instead of it being like instead of me being frustrated or angry or annoyed at myself or my circumstances, whatever. Um, so yeah, I think delayed gratification is just a theme of your life, whether you believe in God or not. There's always something that is going to take time in order to create meaning, if that's the kind of life that you want to live. And I do think that a lot of times people live their life, and especially like our generation, Gen Z, or even like millennials, we've lived our life around the internet and so aware of like everything that we could and can have and should have and look like and be like, that it does become difficult to take a step back and actually like just say no. And then sometimes as you're growing up, you end up in a situation, or like your life changes, where you have to say no to a lot of things and you don't really know how to rectify that. So I have a great example. When I lived in Australia for 2 years, there were so many things that I like had here. I had a full-time job here. I had all these friends here. I had so many things at home that were comfortable, that were amazing. But that also afforded me like a really lush life. I would shop all the time. I'd eat out all the time. I would hang out with my friends all the time. I'd do all these things. And then when I moved to Australia, I made great friends. I didn't have a job, and I was having to like obviously live and like fend for myself, which was fine. But that also meant that I like had to go without. And like I never realized that, going out with your friends or like doing stuff that always costs money. That's so lame. So I spent so many nights alone in my apartment watching Stranger Things, like cooking myself dinner, which dinner was like popcorn because I couldn't bother to make anything, like stuff like that. Like I really did just like serve, like live like that, because that is what I was sacrificing for the period of my life. But in that moment, I would just continually tell myself, like, these things aren't important. Like I don't need a new pair of shoes. I don't need these things. And not like I had those things as well. So I think those years of my life also really helped me assess, like, wow, there are so many things I want, but I absolutely do not need. And I think that also kind of reframed my mind in the way that I think about like physical things, but also the way that you think about like my seasons of your life. And also me going to college helped me develop the term like money's just money. And which it can be a little problematic because obviously it can like help you buy things that you don't need. But money's just money is like, it'll come, it'll go, basically. It's a ebb and flow resource. It's not something that is like always constant, whether you're super wealthy or whether you're like really, really like broke or whatever. Money's just money. Like that's just its nature. And so I think also like detaching yourself from the emphasis of money and like monetary things is very, very helpful. In terms of like delayed gratification, especially. I think with TikTok, with YouTube, with everything, Instagram, Facebook, everything is now a place to market to. Excuse me, my nose is running. Everything is now a source for marketing, and it's my job as well. So I know how the game is played. Okay, and and everything is telling you that like you're lacking something, and in order to get something, you need this. I actually kind of touched on it on episode 1 when I was talking about my ins and outs, and I said, episode 1 of this season, when I was talking about the made up aesthetics. I think so many of those made up aesthetics are just fueled by, not even informed by fashion or like by editors and by designers. I don't think they're ever informed by that. I think they're simply just informed by like, okay, what's the machine telling us now? It's kind of giving like crystal ball energy. And what do people need to buy now? Like we've expended all of these other things, like bows are dead, like, all these things. And it's like, how can we reinvent the same thing and get people feeling like they need it? And bows aren't actually dead. I'm just saying, like in terms of the cycle and like things like that. But I think it creates within me such a question of like, okay, how are we going to be better people than the vacuum of the internet that we live in, Um and I don't want to be a result of all of those. I don't want to be a result of other people's like influences and voices. Like I would love to be an independent thinker and make decisions for myself and in terms of everything, and have a meaningful life. So yeah, I do also really want to touch on the clothes thing for a sec, just because I feel like clothes are so important to like our everyday life. And I think if you want to find your personal style this year, if you want to like grow up, feel great in your clothes, and wake up and like know what to wear every day, I think it has to, the piece of the puzzle is delayed gratification. It's waiting, it's saving your money, it's researching, it's telling yourself no, and ultimately it's also wearing the things you have. So that's why I loved this 75 hard style challenge, because it was so intriguing to me. I loved the idea that we need to live in our clothes in order for them to have meaning, and in order for them to mean something to us and to feel connected to them, because everything in our life, I do believe, contributes to like our well-being and our like mental health and all those things. And if if all of your clothes just simply were purchased, or if everything in your life was purchased because someone else told you, then it bears no meaning to you, right? And so then there's no point in you keeping something for years and years and years because it wasn't even your preference to begin with. Like you were going off somebody else's preference, which I totally understand. Like I bought things from TikTok. I got this necklace because I saw it on a TikTok. Like I'm not saying I'm immune to it, but I am saying like there's a way to um to live with a both and of you live within the tension of, oh, okay, well, I do like this and I do think it would contribute well to like the things I already own, and I also feel like I can create meaning in it. um and so anyways, I feel like obviously this conversation is it's so interesting to me, but I did think I wanted to give you guys some um pointers here. uh so anyways, basically if this podcast had a thesis statement, my thesis statement would be meaning comes from time. Therefore, delayed gratification is essential to growing up, to becoming an adult, to becoming a well-rounded human being. Delayed gratification is like a rhythm of your life that you must learn in order for your life to mean something. And I think it's also something that happens within relationships and friendships. You have to like grow with someone. You have to wait. You have to learn who they are. You have to do all these things, and you have to listen to them. Like, and these are all things that like you're delaying. Like, it's delayed gratification. You can't become best friends with somebody with meeting them once, and that's just like you don't know everything about them. You don't know their story. You don't know all these different things. So, anyways, it's just such an important rhythm of life. My thesis statement did end a few sentences ago. I just can't stop talking. But anyways, I did want to give you 3 ways to practice delayed gratification in your life. Very practical, very simple. And yeah, okay. Number 1, very, very practical. Wait to buy. This goes for everything, in my opinion. Whether it's a new toaster, whether it's a jacket, whether it's jewelry, whether it's shoes, just wait to buy it. Really sit on it. And my favorite thing to do, a personal practice of mine. Oh, look, I'll actually show you. I have my phone right here. I have a wish list note on my phone, and I just put all of the things that I want on here and like the brands they're from. Sometimes I put a price, sometimes I don't. And I just sit with them. And I just look at this list whenever something comes up that maybe is similar or that like I really want, and I just think about it. And there are things that I put on that list last year that I am so glad I didn't purchase. Like I went back on it and I was like, "Ooh, delete. Like I don't want these things." And it's so helpful to like physically see the things and to like revisit it. And also there are a lot of things that you can like thrift, or you can find an iteration of that thing that isn't the exact brand or whatever. And it's like, it's the same effect. So I feel like that's super helpful when you're thinking about that. But even in terms of like thrifting, I feel like I've used thrifting for sure as like a way to, oh, I didn't find the exact thing that I want, but it's like close enough. So I'll just get that. I'll just get it because it's so cheap. And then it just ends up back at the thrift store like 3 months later. So even thinking about that, though, that as well, like tangibly in your life, like really, really sit with items, even if they are thrifted and stuff. Sit with like the shape of the item as well. I think that's something else that I'm trying to consider more. Like, if there's like a picture frame I really want, does it have to be that picture frame? Can it be an iteration? Like, how do I feel about that? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I think there's definitely like a balance. I mean, there's balance with everything, but I think specifically with this, there's definitely like a little give and take there. So yeah, wait to buy. If it's something super expensive, look at reviews. I think just do your due diligence. And also don't be afraid to return things. That's just a bonus. I've been a returns girl lately. Okay, number 2, ways to practice delayed gratification is read more. I also mentioned this episode 1 of this season, and I started reading so much more, and it's really taught me to like be patient, obviously with myself because I'm the one reading. And I tend to be like, I love to skip ahead. If I'm at the end of the chapter and there's like a massive and there's like the end of the paragraph is like halfway to the page, I am so terrible. I'll like skip ahead down to the end of the chapter and at the end of the page, and I'll like read whoever's name or like whatever the cliffhanger is of the chapter because I'm the worst. But what reading has taught me, um, and like in reading all these stories and things, is that like delayed gratification is just a part of reading, because you are having like the story's having to develop in your head, like in your heart. It's having to develop all these characters. Like it's a slower process. You're being enveloped in this world, and it's not until like the end of a book series or of a book that like you get that satisfaction. And so I think it's just a really helpful rhythm to get, and a very practical way to do it as well. So just read fun books and go through the process that the author has set up for you. Okay. So sorry. Okay, and then number 3 is find the fun in the process. One of my favorite TikTokers, she does a lot of fashion commentary. Her name is Pig Mommy, but her actual name is Heather. And she says like the coolest things all the time about fashion. But she talked about how a lot of times, since buying clothes are like, it's like an instant like serotonin kick to like purchase something new and like want to style it and want to whatever. She said she's trying to find the kick of serotonin in actually getting dressed every day rather than having to acquire more. And I think that is such a beautiful thing to consider with our whole life. Is acquiring does not equate happiness. Acquiring does not equate fulfillment. Acquiring does not equate a whole personhood. Like, acquiring is just simply that. It's just you're getting more. And if it did like provide you with like actual sustainable happiness and joy and fulfillment, then like all these people that have everything wouldn't like be so sad and like want to like off themselves. Do you know what I mean? And not to like get so morbid at the end of this, but I just feel like there's something there that as young people, we really do just kind of miss the plot, in the sense that because we have so much accessibility, we think the key to happiness, the key to joy, the key to life is acquiring, when I think it's actually just patience, and it's deliberately using your time to be a more like deliberate, meaningful person. And but that's not fun, that's not sexy, and that doesn't make money. So I don't know. I feel like this is kind of just obviously something I'm processing now, and as the year has begun, and as I'm thinking about clothes and myself. But I also just feel like it's a rhythm of life. I feel like our generation is kind of waking up to all these things that really are not helpful to create a life that is rich, right? And a rich life does not mean that you are that you have the newest thing all the time. A rich life, I think, for me at least, it is someone that has experienced things, that has grown up within those things, whether they're difficult or they're fun and happy, but they've grown up and they have taken it, and they've created meaning within those seasons of their life, within those rhythms. And I think creating meaning is a skill that you can possess and that you can learn how to do, but I don't think you won't create that skill by just getting more things. You're just filling your life up more, but with like empty boxes at the end of the day. Anyways, obviously not a chill, simple, easy little podcast today. I just really have been thinking about it and wanted to process it with you guys. But yeah, I would love to hear that. Those are my 3 tips on how to create meaning and like be chill with delayed gratification. And yeah, I also wrote this little doodle. If you're on YouTube, you can see it, but it's like this massive arrow and it says years and years, and then it says like the little finish line. And that's literally what life is like. Like when I was thinking about this concept, I was thinking like, oh, delayed gratification is just that. It's like years and years and years and years. And the finish line is like still, like you're still not hitting the finish line because you're right there. And yeah, I think the human condition is just always to continue wanting and to continue seeking. And, not to like totally 180 this, but like that's really only God's job. One of my favorite verses is, I don't know where it is, but it's the keep knocking, keep asking, keep seeking, and like you'll find him, he'll answer the door. And I love that. I think it's such a it's not only like a character trait of who God is, that he like wants us to keep asking and wants us to keep seeking and wants us to keep knocking, but it's also like a challenge. Like keep asking. Keep like I don't know. I kind of take it as both, as like like he wants that from us. So yeah, which is delayed gratification. And you know, process, journey, all of those things, that's where we should be finding our satisfaction, and we'll become great human beings because of it, I think. Well, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you guys for listening so much. I had so much fun filming this one. I really was excited to talk about this. And shout out to Derek, my producer, my tech guy, everything. And yeah, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, wherever you're listening to. What, Derek? Leave a review. You can comment. Did you agree with this take? Did you not like this take? I want to know. But I think that's it. Oh, follow us on Instagram. It popped up at some point during this video, but youarehere.pod. You can follow me as well at Danielle Siani if you would like. And I mean, yeah, I'm so excited about this season. We're going to have some guests on, and it's going to rock. But thanks for listening. Bye.